Let's welcome in the 45th President of the United States, President Donald Trump, standing by. Mr. President, good morning.
Well, I agree. Donald Trump was right. I agree.
Hi, Mr. President.
That's Rick. And Rick thinks I was right about everything, but we were right about almost everything, that I can tell you. But that was a terrible thing with Germany, how foolish they were to do that. And who would have known it would have happened this soon? But if you look over at the history with Russia, and you look at Germany, and you look at the fights they've had over the years, big wars, very major wars, world wars, and all of a sudden Germany decides to be totally reliant. About 72%, I'd say, Rick, energy from Russia. It was ridiculous, and it was right from the beginning. Didn't make sense.
Mr. President, you know, Joe Biden is scheduled to address the UN this week. You obviously have delivered some very tough messages at the UN. The Germans laughed when you warned them about relying on Russian energy. What would you say today if you were going to speak at the UN?
Well, you say a lot of things. First of all, it should have been so different because this should have never happened with Russia, Ukraine. This should have never happened. It never would have happened under any circumstances. I think Rick would be witness to that. There was never even a thought of that happening. I've had talks with Putin about it. It was never going to happen. And so now we're in a very bad position. So obviously he's got to be talking about that. He's got to be talking about inflation because we really helped cause the world inflation with what we've done with energy. It started off with energy. Now it's everything. And it would have been very simple to solve. We had gasoline down to less than $2, $1.87. We had it for $1.50 for a period of time. We had things going at a level that nobody's ever seen before, and there's now a lot for him to be talking about and a lot of bad stuff.
Yeah, Mr. President, it's Rob Finnerty. I don't think it can be overstated. Inflation was 1.4% on your last day in office. Gas was $2.39 a gallon. Quite a difference 20 months later. Speaking of Russia, Vladimir Putin wanted to showcase Russian strength in Ukraine when he invaded in February. Mr. President, the opposite is happening. That is clear. If you were in the Oval Office today, how would you do more to engage directly with Vladimir Putin to try to get him to stop this war?
Well, I'd talk to him. I'd meet with him. I mean, there's no communication with him with Biden. Obviously, there's not a lot of communication between Biden and these leaders. These leaders are pretty brutal, and they're people that you have to know how to deal with. And we dealt with them well. With China, we took in hundreds of billions of dollars of tariffs from China, and there was never any talk there either with going into Taiwan. But there's nobody to talk to from the United. Who do we send over there to talk to? And they have to respect your leadership. If they don't respect your leadership, they're going to walk all over you. That's what they did. Prior to us getting there, we made great trade deals, great military deals. And we're the only one, I guess, in many decades that didn't start a war. We were bringing people home from Syria, from Iraq. And then you had the Afghanistan. We had Afghanistan totally in control. We were leaving, and we were leaving with strength and dignity. And then you had that result, that terrible, horrible result, the way that turned out in the election, and we ended up leaving in disgrace. I think it was probably the lowest moment in the history of our country. I don't think we've ever had a more embarrassing, horrible moment in the history of our country than the way we looked. It looked like we surrendered. And you know the story. We didn't lose one soldier in 18 months in Afghanistan. They knew, don't mess around. But we wanted to get out after 21 years. I'm the one that got it down to 2,000 soldiers. But we would have kept
Mr. President, you know, the political intellectuals in Washington, D.C. will always counsel a president not to meet with leaders that are tough, whether it's the Chinese president, whether it's Kim Jong-un, the Iranian president. But you just always had a different idea that if you engaged with them and you actually talked to them, that you could present the United States idea. Would you meet with the Chinese leader right now? Would you meet with the Iranian leader? Would you engage like you did with Kim Jong-un?
Well, you know, when I came in, it looked like you're going to have war with North Korea. You knew that better than almost anybody, Rick. And you're going to have war. I think you would have. If I met with Obama and I thought the way he sounded, it sounded to me like you were going to have war. I said, did you ever speak to him? Did you ever call him? Did you ever try and set up a meeting? But regardless, we had tremendous success with North Korea. We'd ended up in a nuclear war, let's put it that way. And we developed relationships. Until COVID, I had a great relationship with President Xi. But even after, he would have never gone in because he understood me and I understood him. He would have never gone into Taiwan. You look at some of the things, we have some very big problems. And, it's very unfair what's going on in Ukraine because of the fact that Europe, which is much more gravely affected than we are, Europe is in there for $7 billion, and we're in there probably for $74 trillion now. Think of it. So you have we are in now for $74 billion, right? As of this moment, I think, Rick, about that. And Europe is in for a tiny fraction.
Yeah.
And this is what I fought for so long. I fought it for so long because it was always unfair. They took advantage of us on trade. Every country did. Every country did. But they took advantage of us on trade, and they took advantage of us on military and NATO. I was able to get them to pay $430 billion. Very quickly after my first meeting, I said, this is not fair. This is not right. And then I went back a second time because you can't do it all in the first meeting. I just got there.
Right.
And I said, you have to consider it. And they ended up paying $430 billion because I said I wouldn't be a part of it unless you're going to pay your fair bill. They were delinquent, almost every country. Only 8 were paid up.
And Mr. President, it's
so
Rob Finnerty.
I
I know you had a unique relationship with President Xi. I remember a story that your granddaughter spoke Mandarin, and President Xi got a kick out of that, and that made a difference when you two were negotiating. I'd like to talk about...
I did. By the way, I had a great relationship with him. Look, he's for China, I'm for the U.S., but I had a great relationship with him. Rick can bear witness to that.
Yeah.
And we did have a couple of grandchildren that speak absolutely perfectly in President Xi's exact language.
Yeah, it was Arbella who spoke Mandarin, if I remember. Mr. President, let's talk about the raid on Mar-a-Lago.
Quite amazing to watch.
Absolutely. Sir, the raid on Mar-a-Lago, so 6 weeks ago yesterday, I understand that you've since returned to Mar-a-Lago and you've seen the state of that home down there. I'm wondering what you made of that, what it was like to walk back into the house, and then what you would do differently if you were in the Oval Office to address what's going on, maybe with leadership at the Justice Department.
Well, they've weaponized the Justice Department and the FBI like never has happened in the United States. And if you look at the Records Act, the Presidential Records Act, we followed the rules. We were discussing with them. But if you look at NARA and you look at the things that are going on with the leaking and the document probably planting, I mean, you look at planting and you look at getting rid of. I read something yesterday, and I heard about this, but I couldn't believe it. But where they actually want to put a clamp on the Constitution of the United States because they don't believe in it or something. But they put, did you see that, Rick? It was in one of the articles yesterday, and I had heard that, but that the Constitution of the United States is dangerous. They consider it dangerous. The Bill of Rights considered dangerous, and that's NARA. And, who would think of this? And these are the people that are protecting your documents. So when you look at all of the things that have happened, what they've done with the Fourth Amendment is they had no right to do what they did. And we were talking and negotiating, and frankly, I thought getting along. But, the lawyers were doing it mostly, but I thought getting along. And to have that happen, and then they do a raid on the house of a former president who was very popular. I mean, I did get more votes than any sitting president in history. No sitting president even came close. And they did a raid on my house, and it's, not the same. You walk in and you say, these people were in here in your bedroom, and they were in
Barron's room and Melania's room.
It's terrible. I mean, when you think how terrible it is, and we were following, if you look, Presidential Records Act, we were following that. It's very, it's very specific as far as I could see.
Mr.
So
President,
it's a very terrible thing that they did. And
Mr. President,
the population, the people don't like it.
I'm wondering how Melania felt about the raid.
Well, she felt very violated. I mean, this is a terrible thing. They go into a closet, they go through her dresses, and who knows what else. And it wasn't left the way they found it. Okay, they didn't exactly. I didn't walk into mine and say, "Oh, this is exactly so nice the way they put it back." I think it's a disgrace that a thing like this could happen. And again, we didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do anything wrong. There was nothing done wrong. You take a look at the Presidential Records Act. That's what you have to go by, I guess. I mean, that's what I'm told. And You sit, you negotiate, you try working it out. And if you don't, I guess there's a procedure if you can't work it out. And it's, they're trying to make such a big deal because what they want to do is politicize everything. Everything's got to be politics.
No crooked establishment.
None of that twisting the truth. No talking down to me.
Don't tell me how to think.
Don't tell me how to think.
Don't tell me how to think.
I trust Newsmax.
Newsmax.
They don't tell me how to think.
They let
me decide.
Newsmax.
Real news
For real people.